Just a moment ago, by the way, President Biden spoke to MSNBC and Joe Scarborough as calls grow within his party to drop out of the race. Biden said he's not going anywhere. Roll it.
All the data shows that the average Democrat out there who voted, 14 million of them that voted for me, still want me to be the nominee. That the average voter out there still wanted Joe Biden. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump.
All right, Joe Concha joins us now for detail. It seemed kind of boilerplate. I mean, this is all a part of his cleanup on aisle 5, and he had the big try with George Stephanopoulos on Friday. Didn't change many minds with that. Does this make any difference, what we just saw with Joe Scarborough?
David, let me be blunt. He was reading a teleprompter during that interview. I don't have any definitive proof of that, but those answers, you called it boilerplate, right? Were almost too perfect now, weren't they? No no thought process, anything that would indicate that he's thinking off the cuff. And there is a reason, and MSNBC is pathetic, by the way, for saying, oh, sure, we'll do a phone interview. The president doesn't have access to a studio. I'm literally in my basement right now talking to you. All right. I'm pretty sure the president of the United States has access to an area that he could do that interview on video. They didn't put it on video. So then, therefore, they could answer questions by reading them. And if you don't think that, oh, Joe and Mika didn't say, hey, we're going to ask you this and we're going to ask you that, given that they talk to this president on an almost daily basis, Scarborough has admitted to this, off camera. Then you're insane. Then you believe that it's going to be, snowing out later in New York.
Yeah, well,
so,
and Scarborough's got a little bit of
looks.
cleaning up to do as well. A little bit is an understatement. I mean, it was just a couple of months ago he was saying Joe Biden has never been as mentally fit as he is today. He had that complete turnaround right after the debate. Now he's trying to modulate it a little further to be somewhere between where he was right after the debate and where he used to be a couple of months ago. Is he finished? Is Joe Scarborough finished? He didn't look so good during this episode.
Oh, no. It was in March of this year where he said, we are seeing the best of Joe Biden, and told his audience, F you if you don't believe that, right? So, he was trying to be as definitive as possible to protect his guy. Right. Then after the debate said, would you trust Joe Biden to run a Fortune 100 company? Obviously implicating that, he shouldn't be president anymore. And then once the blowback came, because he said this on MSNBC, and that's a big no-no, now he's trying to come back to an area where he can get the next contract. That's all this is about. He has zero credibility.
But meanwhile, I mean, the real heavies, the political heavies like David Axelrod are predicting Biden is actually going to lose the 2024 race in a landslide. Roll that and get Joe's reaction.
That's really the concern here. It's not about his record. Every time he's asked about whether he can do the job until he's closer to 90 than 80, he says, well, look at what I did the last 4 years. That's just not the way it works. There are certain immutable facts of life, and those were painfully obvious on that debate stage. And the president just doesn't seem to he hasn't come to grips with it. He's not winning this race. He's more likely, if you just look at the data and talk to people around the country, political people around the country, it's more likely that he'll lose by a landslide than win narrowly.
Landslide. I mean, that's pretty tough language.
Mm-hmm. It is. And if this perspective, David, is coming from David Axelrod, that means it's essentially coming from Barack Obama. And landslide is accurate. You look at Donald Trump, he is leading in every swing state: North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Florida and Ohio are gone. But the map is even expanded where Trump is leading in states like New Hampshire, which hasn't gone red in decades. Virginia hasn't gone red since 2004. New Mexico hasn't gone red in decades. New Jersey's competitive. Colorado is competitive. I could go on, but this president simply is not nimble enough to defend all of those swing states, and then also these other states are being thrown into the mix. And, oh, by the way, take the mental part out here for a second, David. He's losing on every major issue. Inflation still is what it is. Crime still is what it is. Energy independence still is what it is.
Border.
And obviously immigration and the border, right, is what it is. So until those conditions change, and unless Biden somehow now gets better with age, Tell me how he wins. I just don't see it. But,
Yeah.
Again, we got, 120 days. until
Very
the election.
quickly, this scandal, which I think has been resolved in somebody getting fired, 2 radio hosts admitted that Biden aides gave them the questions that they wanted them to ask the president. They used a few of those questions. Where do you think this story ends? Because one of those people apparently has been fired by the radio station. And by the way, these are new photos by Axios from staffers in the Biden White House showing pictures, essentially paint by the pictures, walk onto stage by the pictures for the president. But first of all, the story on the radio host. Where do you think more people are going to come out and say we got the questions as well?
I would hope so. I mean, this radio host was brave. Andrea Lawful Sanders, she was simply being honest about being given these pre-approved questions in advance, and she shared that information publicly. And she was fired for it. You're telling me management didn't know that she got the questions in advance beforehand? Biggest interview they've ever had. You don't think it was all hands on deck? Only afterwards, when she revealed it, she became essentially a whistleblower, was she given the axe. It's pathetic, and I would hope more reporters come forward, but they probably want to keep their job, so maybe that won't happen.
Probably. All right, Joe Concha, good stuff, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.